in the world of golf than the Florida Gators. They won the Gator Invitational. So proud to have on Coach J.C. Deacon of the Florida Gators there in Gainesville. First of all, Coach, thank you so much for joining us here today on Southeast Sports Plus. We want to talk about your team and talk about you, talk about the start to the season so far. What has led to the early success for you and your guys?
Just great players, that they find a way of making coaches and teams look good. But yeah, we got a really great team this year, full of hard workers who all have great attitudes. It's been just an honor and pleasure to coach them. I feel like they're motivating me more than I'm motivating them. But we've been, shuffling up the lineup. A bunch of different guys have been contributing, and it's been an amazing run so far. But, we're had some really lofty goals starting the year that kind of centered and focused on the postseason, and we're 2 tournaments away from that. So still a lot to accomplish, but it's been a really great journey so far.
Yeah, Coach, and speaking of continuing that momentum, I know last year you guys had a SEC championship win. So going into this season, was that kind of a goal in mind that you wanted to carry on that momentum of the success from last year?
Yeah, that's always the biggest tournament of the year for us. There's no doubt. We're all very proud to be in the Southeastern Conference and to be able to play against the great competition we do. And that's just the one tournament. It's at Sea Island every year. There's a ton of history and tradition, and we really get up for that. Our guys love it. They mix the stroke play and match play there. So it takes 6 great days to win. And that's the number one for sure. And then, if we can get that done, be the first time in a long time that we could go back to back. So kind of challenged our guys with that, that they'd be able to accomplish something that very few teams at the University of Florida have ever been able to do. So lots of work ahead, but we got the horses to do it. So I'm excited.
And Coach, you did talk about all the players that you do have. We'll talk about Matthew here in a minute, but I want to focus on Luke Poulter. And what is that dynamic like, with his dad being Ian Poulter, the career that he's had and is still having over at Liv? What is that dynamic like coaching him?
Well, first off, I think Ian is very different as a dad and an everyday human being than maybe the world would view him. He is an amazing dad. The Poulters have a very, very close family, so it's been really nice for us to kind of see that side of them. But Luke, it's huge to have someone that's been as successful as Ian and been in those big moments. Luke grew up watching Ryder Cups and watching his dad win on the DP World Tour and PGA Tour. So he carries a tremendously high standard with him, but he also relies on his dad a lot for coaching and information and motivation, and he's just a wealth of knowledge. So I've learned a lot from both of them, and it's just been watching Luke's growth here at the University of Florida has been incredible, because he came in the year that we won the national championship in 2023. So he had a big wall to climb to even get in the lineup, and he actually redshirted his first year, and then he's just taken off ever since. And he works tremendously hard. He's very mentally tough, and his skills and physical talent are starting to match up. So that Poulter DNA is really strong, and we're pumped to have it in our lineup.
No question. He obviously has great genes, and you mentioned on the front end of this conversation all the talent that you have. This team obviously led by Matthew Kress going into the season, one of the top golfers in all of college golf right now this season. What has he done that you've noticed from the offseason to where he is right now, and where his game can be as the season goes along and towards the end of the year?
Yeah, Matthew is maybe the most amazing story that I've ever had in my coaching career. We kind of took a flyer on him. He was backed by a good friend of mine named Jeff Smith, who's a great swing coach in the golf industry, and told me I'd be crazy not to take Matt. He wasn't ranked or competitive as most recruits we take out of high school, but his work ethic and attitude and determination is unmatched, and he's just continued to get better. Wasn't even close to playing for us his redshirt freshman year, but he's just done nothing but get better since. And his leadership qualities are second to none for an 18 to 22-year-old throughout his career. He's just single-handedly helped change the culture on this team. And he just continues to be relentless, and he's learned a lot and improved his game a ton. And, he's sitting in a good spot on that PGA Tour U and continuously pushes his teammates and coaches to be better. And just a lot of really good things continue to follow Matthew. I think when you work that hard and you're that relentless, good things happen. And, we just seem to win a lot when he's in the lineup. So it's nice having him at the top, tons of maturity and experience. And he's going to be a big, big part of what we're doing here the next couple months.
Yeah, Coach, and you touched on it a little bit, but just in this world of transfer portal and NIL where you're not always seeing a player come into a program in high school and make it all the way through to his senior year, how special is it to see a guy like Matthew, work with you for the full 4 years and kind of now have the success that he's having?
Yeah, in Matthew's case, it's 5 years. He redshirted his freshman year. So it is that, to me, that's what's really special about college athletics. And I really hope, that the NCAA gets this figured out and we can still have stories like Matthew's, because watching him and Luke Poulter and their growth, and, they both came in and did not start right away. Young man named Fred Biondi, who played here and won the national championship both individually and on the team in 2023. He was the same way. Took them a long time to develop and earn their spot in the lineup. And I think that's what's special. Instant gratification just seems to be too big a part of what's going on in college sports these days. And people forget about the time and the effort and the work that it takes to become really special. And we've been a huge beneficiary of that. And, we've built our program on kids like Matthew and Luke. And, I really hope that doesn't go away. So love these guys and love this team and really, really believe in how they got here. And I think that's what provides the real confidence and experience and gives us a chance to be the best.
Coach, I've got 2 questions for you. The first one is not golf related because I noticed a Phil Kessel jersey hanging up on your wall behind you. I know you're from Canada. Are you a Maple Leafs fan?
Yeah, diehard Toronto Maple Leaf fan. Grew up in Toronto, and they're bleed blue and white, and always have. Hockey is definitely my first love. But Phil became a good buddy when I was playing on the PGA Tour Canada. He's a hockey player, but loves golf probably just as much. So we had a bunch of battles on the golf course, and the Leafs are struggling right now. So I'm investing all my time in the Florida Gators for sure.
And I'm sure that the Olympic gold game you probably want to erase from your memory there.
You know what? We Canada played. That's probably the best hockey game I've maybe ever seen any team play. They threw it all at the U.S. and Connor Hellebuck just stood on his head. And hats off to him in the U.S. And our captain for the Leafs, Austin Matthews, was able to win gold and be captain for the U.S. So it was bittersweet.
And then the second question, we'll get back to golf related questions now. Ricky Castillo with his first PGA Tour win over the weekend. What do you remember about his time there in Gainesville, and how important is this for him?
Well, it's a really cool story because it actually started in Las Vegas. I was the assistant golf coach at UNLV at the time, and we were recruiting Ricky's older brother, Derek. And on Derek's official visit, he brought his little brother, who was about half the size of him and had a backpack on that probably weighed as much as he did at the time. He was so small and so little. And the first thing I ever said to Ricky, he was 14 years old, and I told him, "You're going to play for me one day." And sure enough, it came true a bunch of years later when I got the head job at the University of Florida. And we had some decent teams here early on in my career, but when Ricky showed up, everything really changed. And he turned this place around, and he's just a born winner. And obviously capped off his career with the SEC and national championship in 2023. And, I would have bet, if I was allowed to, I would have bet my kids' college fund on him winning on the PGA Tour one day. He was born to do this. And we had a great chat on Sunday evening, and he just said, Coach, I'm starting to get comfortable out here. And, when you hear him talk about being comfortable, I think this is going to be the first of many wins. So really, really proud moment for me. And I know how much time and effort he's put into the game. So, that's just a coach's dream to have a front row seat to dreams coming true.
For sure. Coach, I've always been just completely fascinated by sports psychology, just in general, whether it is baseball, whether it is football, basketball, but I think golf kind of has a extra special place because the game seems to me, correct me if I'm wrong, as mental as it is physical. Are there any certain things that you do with your guys, like you talked about with Matthew, telling him early on that, hey, you're not playing right now, but you will play, and a guy like Ricky as well, that is there anything that you do psychologically with these guys, collectively and individually, to let them be in a great headspace to play their best golf?
Well, you bring up a great point, and I think that's the difference maker at this level. We're obviously very blessed to be here at the University of Florida. We can attract some of the best talent in the world, but a lot of other teams have talent as well. And emotional control and being able to be patient and wait out the adversity that's inevitable in the game of golf is the difference at this level. And we coach that really, really hard. So Dudley Hart, our associate head coach here, believes in the exact same thing. And we hammer our guys from day one. There's a certain way that they're going to conduct themselves and a certain way that they're going to approach adversity in our program. And that's expected. And it doesn't always go perfect when you have, 18 to 22-year-old young men who are growing up and maturing at different rates. But, if we can be the calmest and most patient and most controlled team in the most high pressured moments, that gives us a little edge, and it continues to pay off. So you picked up on that great. Golf's just a unique sport because you're out there for 4 to 5 hours on the golf course, and you're only hitting the golf ball for such a short period of time. All that dead space there, you got to be using it to your advantage, and it's all about what's going through your head.
Yeah, and specifically at this time of year where you just have the SEC championship right around the corner. And like you said, that's the really big event of golf for you guys at Florida. So what is your message specifically to the guys at this time of year, knowing what is to come just around the corner?
Yeah, we've been building for the SEC championship since August. That it really is our focus to be able to, shine and be at our best that week. But it's just constant growth. We had a little bit of a setback, I would say, last week in Las Vegas. We had won 4 tournaments in a row, and I think the guys were probably feeling pretty good about themselves and had everyone telling them how good they were. And sure enough, we went out and didn't play very well. It was probably our worst event since mid-October. But I think it was the perfect wake-up call. I think our guys realized that, we'll be an average team really quickly if we let the things slip that are important to us. So glad we got that wake-up call, and we're getting Luke back healthy now, which is obviously a big piece of our lineup. So really, really excited about this team. And I do know just, when it comes down to that mental aspect, that week at the SEC is going to be very intense and high pressure. And, you're going to have some of the best teams in the country chasing us down. So we got to be rested and ready for that. So I'm excited just talking about it here. I can't wait to get going.
Hey, Coach, real quick before we let you go, we'll talk about you here for a second. Obviously, you played on the Canadian Tour. You also had a pretty good amateur career, ended up finishing as a semifinalist at Marion back in the day. I went through the archives, and I found a great picture.
Where did you get that?
I don't know. I got to keep my sources pretty tight. But
funny.
Obviously, with Marion being the site of the U.S. Amateur this year, what are some of the hidden quirks about that golf course that could throw some of these amateurs for a wrench this year?
Yeah, a lot less gray hair in that picture right there, for sure. I miss that young guy. But, Marion, tons of tradition. I had never been there before I played the U.S. Amateur that year, but obviously fell in love with the place. It's very unique because it doesn't have the same length in distance as some of the new age golf courses, but they always have very thick rough, very undulated firm greens, and it just really makes a player think. And you got to position your ball in the right spot. You got to be very, very accurate. And every time that they've had a big time championship there, it's provided great drama. So I think the whole world's going to fall in love again with Marion here. I know they have a U.S. Open coming up a few years after this U.S. Amateur. So amateur golf's going to be welcome back to Marion. It'll be fun for me. I'm probably going to caddy for one of my guys that is playing in that event. So it'll be fun to go back there and hopefully help them make a run. But Marion's a really, really special place that's got a ton of USGA history.
No question about it. It'll be a full circle moment for sure. Coach Deacon, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us on Southeast Sports Plus. Gabriella mentioned the SEC Championship coming up in April. 2 pit stops, one in Southern California, one in Naples, Florida, right before then. Coach, continued success. Stay healthy along the way. We'll catch you again down the road.
Thanks for having me, and really appreciate it. You guys were ready to go today. Very sharp with some of the things you came up with. So thanks for having me on.
Likewise. Thank you, Coach. Coach Deacon joining us from Gainesville, Florida, head coach of the number 3 Florida Gator men's golf team.